Welcome back, guys. More on the eSports Report. It picks up right now. Jack and Puckett here in New York City. And Jack, we got to talk about tonight's schedule. Week 4 continuing, and a whole lot of bottom teams fighting for crucial wins.
Oh, absolutely. We're starting things off with a big match. The two European organizations now with North American squads. TCM going up against Epsilon. Will Epsilon get their first win of the season, or will TCM be able to take them down? Then it's 7-10. FaZe versus Isolation. Does Isolation stand any chance? We've been talking a lot about their roster moves that have been going on. FaZe looking stronger than ever. Should be an interesting match to say the least. Then at 8:20, one of the big matches of the night. Optic Nation going up against Optic Gaming. Definitely will be a great one. You will not want to miss that.
Battle of the Green Wall, man.
Yeah, Rise versus Elevate. Two teams who right now begin to show some life here in Season 3.
They're on the come-up, man. Both teams out winning streaks.
Yeah, who's gonna be able to take that one? We will have to find out.
All right, we got to talk about this first matchup, though. TCM versus Epsilon. This feels like a Gfinity match, but no, guys, you're watching it here in North America.
Yeah.
Swanee, of course, the only member of the UK, brought on 2 members of the runners-up from World Championships there. Of course, we got Nagafen and Remy playing with a new upstart player, Royalty, who's been making waves online for a bit. Now he's got a solid squad, but Epsilon still winless, Jack. What do you expect to see in this match?
I mean, this is, for me, a must-win match for Epsilon. We said yesterday on the show, if Epsilon wants to get a chance at the playoffs this season, they basically need to go 10-5 and get help from the opposing teams to reach even that 8th place spot. Right now, sitting at 0-7, it's the equivalent of starting 0-14 in Season 1 or 2. Not a good spot to be in, to say the least. There's your poll question. Is tonight the night Epsilon get their first win? A is yes, B is no. They got to take down Teep and Aches, and 2 of Swanee's European brethren in Moose and Jerd.
All right, let's take a look at some of the losses from Epsilon so far. We all know they're 0-7.
Yeah.
They haven't won a game yet. Some big losses to Envy. You saw Denial, FaZe beat them, but the surprise losses were to teams like Optic Nation, Rise, Elevate. This is considered one of the easier matchups for Epsilon here. Do they get the win against TCM, or what do you see happening here from TCM this evening?
I'm going to be looking at 2 different things. One, how does Nagafen step up for this Epsilon squad? And really, is Jerd going to pick things up for his team? We said last night, kind of a quiet night. He's a big player. TP says time and time again, he loves playing with Jerd. Thinks of him as such a crazy aggressive player, but the aggression typically pays off. Will he get shut down? Also, Swanee up against Aches, the bow battles, something that I'm going to be looking for all match long. Epsilon, though, they're facing TCM now. Then they go up against OG, TK, Elevate, and Envy, 4 teams who a lot of people think will be in the top 6 or top 8.
I see the TK match is probably easiest for Epsilon to win in their next 4. They got to get the start here over TCM. TCM on the other side, also desperate need for a win. 2-4 in the Pro League after 6 matches. This is match number 7 for them. They're on a 2-match losing streak. Last night, kind of a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
But tonight, they need to go big, because up next, they face Envy. They're going to face Rise, who's on the come-up with Apathy playing insanely well, Elevate, and then Optic Nation. So it's not that bad of a road for TCM. I'd rather be TCM than Epsilon right now, but a big match for both squads. The next series, though, is going to be a fun one to watch, especially if Isolation continues to play like they did on Monday. Isolation eSports is going to be taking on FaZe, who sits in our number 3 spot right now at 6-2. ISO, I think they have finally found their 4th. Let's take a look at our poll, though, guys. Can Isolation pull off the upset, now playing with Lacefield, who had a monster day on Monday?
Yeah, no, Lacefield going massive for the squad. We did a whole stat breakdown on him. We were joking. We were like, did we ever think we'd make a Lacefield stat breakdown? Something we really didn't expect. But Isolation struggling a little bit so far in Season 3. You can really... A lot of the roster changes didn't help, but they're not in a position like Epsilon, where if Epsilon loses tonight, it's almost impossible to qualify. ISO, if they sneak out a win tonight, they've got to feel extremely good, because no one's expecting that, but fully predict FaZe to take this one. FaZe's only 2 losses. They got 3-0'd by Optic Gaming, and they got 3-0'd by Denial. You know the next time those teams face off, it's not going to be that stat line at all.
So the one thing I say to look out for tonight in this FaZe versus ISO match, FaZe is 9-1 in Hardpoint. if ISO wins a single hardpoint, that is absolutely massive.
They have a chance.
Search and Destroys. FaZe looking very strong.
Yep.
ISO with their snipers, though, put on a show on Skyrise.
Yeah, you're talking about that.
Blazefield and Silly both using snipers against a FaZe squad who you saw last night on Skyrise didn't use any snipes and ended up losing to TCM.
And Havoc, one of the top, I believe, 10 KDs in Search and Destroy so far in Season 3. Maven made the bold statement a few nights ago when we cast it together saying that he thinks Havoc could be the best Search and Destroy player right now in Season 3.
Most exciting to watch all
Yeah, he definitely makes some crazy plays that keeps being referenced the one before versus Optic. I don't think anyone will ever forget that, but I just really don't see it happening. I mean, what FaZe does so well, Chris, is that they can outslay their opponents, but they're such selfless players that they still get the objective done and outscore their opponents by so much, like we saw winning by an average of 40 seconds in hardpoint, playing a comeback uplink, completely dominating the slaying department, but then still putting up just shy of 18 points. Pretty ridiculous stuff from the Red Militia.
All right, so what you can expect tonight from ISO if it goes to an uplink, they're going to lose. That is clearly their weakness. They got beat by Optic Nation on Monday. It only took Optic Nation a minute 40 seconds to score 10 times on them. The whole game lasted under 4 minutes.
Maven was like, that didn't even count.
3 minutes, 20 seconds. Isolation is going to get rolled in the uplink. So if ISO wants a chance to pull off that upset, which it seems like no one in the chat thinks is possible, they got to win a hard point, and they got to win both searches. Force that game 5, man.
We'll see on that one. But then, Chris, really the match that I'm looking forward to tonight comes up between the Battle of the Green Wall, Optic Nation facing off against Optic Gaming. I mean, Chris, if there's ever a time for this ON squad to go up against OG, it's right now, because OG have looked a little bit shaky in recent weeks. Maybe they're a little distracted. You saw Crim.
You just scrimmed these dudes all last night.
But yeah, they did. And,
yeah, so terrible timing to scrim against Optic Gaming.
Yeah, you could see they're just trying to get some practice out of the way. Now facing off against each other. Maybe there's some issues for OG. I think that's really what ON is kind of hoping for. Mochilla needs to go massive if ON want to stand any chance.
The way I look at this, though, is honestly, if you compare these two teams, they played last night in some scrimmages. Who had more to gain? I think it's clearly Optic Nation.
Oh, yeah.
They can figure out a little bit of what Optic Gaming is going to be bringing. I think Optic Gaming always is going to be ready for Optic Nation. I don't think they need to pick up on too many of the strategies.
Yeah.
It's all going to come down, though, to the matchup for me watching Moch. I think he's going to be your key player in all of Search and Destroys. Optic's been hot. They've been not in Search. But I want to know, guys, what are you most pumped for? Optic Nation players on the left, Optic Gaming players on the right. Which matchup do you want to see most? Is it Moch versus Formal in the Bow Battle? Is it the aggressive subs and Miracles versus Scump? Embos versus Karma, or Ricky versus Crim6? Jack, which one are you going for there?
My answer, I mean, I think that what most people are going to say, Mochilla versus Formal for me is by far the most exciting of any of those matchups. Mochilla right now in Season 3, he's been in the top 3 S&D KDs through and through, putting up massive slaying numbers for ON, a big reason why they're even able to hang in some of these games. Miracles versus Scump, that's another one where if Miracles can really step up tonight for this ON squad, you'll see them chain together a lot of the points that they really need to stand any chance in hardpoint. Embos versus Karma. Karma, a lot of people have been criticizing his playstyle as of late. Does Bose stand a chance? We'll see in that one. And then Ricky versus Crim6. I love Crim in this matchup up against ON. Fully expect him to go off tonight.
Ricky is going to have his work cut out for him. Really, the only one I see close is... Can Miracles hang with Scump?
See, that's been one of the issues, because we talked about Mir so far in AW.
Mir's great.
He's shown moments of brilliance.
Scump's the best, man.
Yeah, he's shown moments of brilliance, but there's a reason why Scump was the Season 1 MVP, the Season 2 MVP, and has over a 1.2 KD yet again in Season 3, and is putting a good argument towards a Season 3 MVP as well.
All right, well, it looks like 59% of you guys are looking for the Bow Battle. Here's a look at the stats as it appears in your screen, of course. Moch versus Formal. Most exciting matchup there for everybody. Up next was Miracles versus Scump in the SMG fight. So there are your results, guys. I'm with you. I voted A as well. Moch Formal. Formal hasn't looked super powerful in Search. He struggled last night, especially in that Game 5, and that was a huge game for them going up against Elevate. if Moch can somehow get to a Game 5 and control a game like they did, we saw Elevate do with Slack using the bow on Biolab, Optic Gaming could be in trouble.
I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen Mochilla drop less than 10 kills in an S&D so far in Season 3 that I can remember. So
double digits all day, man.
It reminds me a lot of what we saw from Parasite about a few months into AW, where people were saying, hey, he's the best Search and Destroy player right now. He won the Best S&D Player Award, I believe, in both Seasons 1 and 2 as well. So Mochilla beginning to show some brilliance in that game mode, but that's not all the action for tonight. Our 9:30 match is going to be Rise going up against Elevate. Woo! Really the big question here for me is Elevate a top 4 team?
Is Elevate a top 4 team? Great question. I'm going to go with no right now.
Okay.
I think they compete with Envy for that 4th spot overall in my eyes. I don't think Optic Nation is your 4th best at the end of the day. I think Rise, though, they could pull off this upset, but they can't let it go to a Game 5. They got to win early on here.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this match, though, because, again, there's some storylines. You had TJ on Rise. TJ goes back over to Elevate. Elevate had Apathy at the start of the season. Apathy now the superstar on Rise Nation. Rise, first day together with Burns yesterday. Can they compete with Elevate tonight? Don't know, especially if TJ is getting host and Slack is playing as well as he did last evening.
Yeah, we just asked each other, do we think Elevate is a top 4 team? Well, now we got to ask you guys, how strong is this Elevate roster in your mind? A, are they a top 8 team? B, you think they're top 4, C, top 6, or D, bottom 4? Do they not even deserve to make the playoffs? Be sure to answer in the chat. We'll take a look at which option is picked most. Chris, your prediction, who do you think, which answer do you think the chat's going to go with?
Man, the chat is going to go and say top 6, I think, and I think that's a safe bet to go with.
Yeah.
If you're saying, yes, they are a top 4 team, here are a few of the reasons you might be going with. You know, they finally seem to be clicking after a slow start. They beat Optic Nation 3-0, who is tied for 4th right now in the league overall.
Yep.
They've only lost to FaZe, Envy, and Denial. But the no side of things is this squad bombed out after pool play. They went perfect in pool play at UMG Dallas, bombed out after that. Not fully proven yet with the new roster. And then, of course, they lost to Envy, another team in the discussion for top 4. So I guess it comes down to me. Do you guys see Envy as the number 4 team overall? Do you see someone else in that 4 spot instead of Elevate? Because I'm pretty sure all of us have Optic Gaming, Denial, and FaZe as the big 3.
You could absolutely make an argument for multiple teams in that 4th place spot. As we said, Envy now dropping into 7th place right now in the standings. The boys in blue need to bounce back, but this Rise lineup, Chris, a lot of teams talk about it where when you make a roster change and you get that fresh new player in there, you're kind of in a honeymoon period where things are clicking, everyone's in a good mood. Is that going to help Rise tonight going up against Elevate, or you think Elevate is going to completely just shut them down?
I think this is a toss-up for both teams. I think there's a lot of mutual respect across the board here. Elevate, on paper, the stronger lineup. Yep. Rise Nation needs big games out of Wheats. He had some massive comebacks. Even, we talked about Apathy, that whole Detroit last night against Orbit. Wheats was kind of huge in that. He was also their star player in Search game 2. You need a big evening out of Wheats to cancel out the slaying that we're seeing from Classic, Saints, and TJ. Slacked also just a monster. Honestly, I think Elevate clearly has the stronger roster, but I wouldn't put it past Rise to steal a win. This is a tough loss if you're Rise, though, because then you fall to 2-6.
Yeah, definitely do not want to make that one happen. As you know, last night breaking their 5-game loss streak. If you are just tuning in, we just broke down all of tonight's matches. Here's a look again at our schedule. At 6 p.m., TCM going up against Epsilon. Will Epsilon get their first win of the season for Maven's sake, please? Then at 7:10, FaZe versus Isolation. At 8:20, the Battle of the Green Wall, Optic Nation versus Optic Gaming. And then finally, that matchup we were just talking about at 9:30, all these in Eastern Standard Time, Rise Nation up against Elevate. A great night of matches you won't want to miss.
All right, guys, we're running out of time here, but we do have 2 more segments, including my favorite. Last night, I went so bold in my caster predictions. I went against the grain on 2 matches. Maven did the same. And let's take a moment of silence for Maven.
No, he did the best last night.
This is the first non-fail out of Maven. We're not going to do a moment of silence. We'll celebrate it, says Jack.
This is one positive time in Maven's life.
We were all wrong with Optic Gaming. Of course, Optic suffering some issues last night on Karma's side. Elevate takes it all in game number 5, led by a strong finish from Slacked. Match number 2, though, this is where I thought I would make up some ground. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to say Rise is going to be better than Orbit, unlike Ben and Matt. And I said Envy could beat Denial. I didn't think it was going to be likely, but I thought it was possible. It's pretty confident in my Rise pick.
Yeah.
But Envy bombed out 3-0, man.
You even wore the Envy shirt.
I even wore the Envy shirt last
work.
night. I was talking to JCap, getting him hype on Skype. Nothing worked. FaZe versus TCM. That was one we all got right. And then Maven joined me with the pick for Rise. Puts him only 6 back of the lead overall. Tonight's guesses, though, these are pretty ugly for Maven. He's going with Epsilon every single time they play because they can't go 0-22 in the league, right, Jack?
No, they well, hopefully not. As of right now, though, they are on pace for it. Everyone picking FaZe, Optic Gaming, and Elevate to take the final series. But then Epsilon versus TCM. Chris, if I'm being honest, this is Maven's best chance I've seen so far for Epsilon to take a series.
You think over TCM? I would have thought it'd be against Rise Nation when they were weak, or...
You know, Chris, I'm trying to be positive for Epsilon.
You are,
I'm
Jack.
trying.
I appreciate it. Anything's possible, Jack.
Thank you, Chris. That's motivational.
Anything is possible.
Someone quote that. Put that up on
I wanted to go back and find my stats real quick in the hard points. Epsilon has to win these hard points against TCM because TCM was straight struggling. I think it was a 100-point difference in both of the hard points against Denial, of course. Denial, the best team in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, TCM didn't have the best time last night in the HP games. Their S&D was on. Epsilon's S&D? Can't remember saying it's been on yet this season.
No, I think it's their worst game mode at the moment. Or Uplink is, actually. Their worst game mode is everything right now. They're 0-7.
Can't win games.
They're 0-7.
Epsilon, Swanee, Maven trying to make up more ground. Is he going to fall back to 7 behind, or is he going to cut it down to just a 5-point lead for the rest of us casters?
Yeah, I mean, this is a night where Maven could make one game up. But guys, don't go anywhere. After this quick commercial break, we're going to hop into our Vulcan picks for the night prior to game number 1.
Lots of picks.